He's so good at it.
When I say I'm voting for Trump and go, what about women's rights? It's going to take away my women's rights. But no, he did it the 4 years he was in office.
Before we go into this clip, there is this lady. She did an amazing job calling out Democrat for things we all know.
So Trump has always been pro-choice, but now that he's like standing up on a podium and being like, I'm pro-choice, what in the hell are these Democrats that foam at the mouth when I say I'm voting for Trump and go, what about women's rights? It's going to take away my women's rights. But no, he did it the 4 years he was in office. My right. What are they going to say now that he's standing on business saying that he is pro-choice? What are they gonna scream in my comments saying, oh, he's a felon, my body, my right. The rights that you always had, and have always had? Oh, now they're just gonna be like, what, he's a felon, he's orange. Well, now he's pro-choice. Oh, but my rights. Oh no, not your rights that you have every single right of, that there's a woman running for president. What are you talking about your rights? There's places right now where women have to peer through 27 sheets with one eye, otherwise they'll get their hand chopped off. And you're, abortion it goes to go back to the states and my rights. Those people that say that, they should have to peer through the thing. Every single day, even at the pool, you have to peer through it. Have rights.
I feel her frustrations. Now going into this clip, Vivek drops a truth bomb on Fox News viewers. The people we elect to run the government, they are not even the ones actually running the government. It is the puppet masters underneath and around them, unelected bureaucrats and the managerial class. Biden cognitive deficit, Kamala policy deficit, those are not a bug. Those are features for the people who actually manage them. A lot of people are applauding him after the interview.
The hard reality in American politics today is the people we elect to run the government, they're not even the ones actually running the government. It's the puppet masters underneath and around them, unelected bureaucrats and the managerial class. And so in some ways, I do think it's to give Kamala Harris too much credit when we say she's a communist or a socialist. That gives her too much credit because I don't particularly think that she has an ideology at all. She's another cog in the system. We're not running against a candidate. We are running against a machine. And when Donald Trump said in 2016 he wanted to go in and drain the swamp, what it means is we want to go in and dismantle that machine. So we have self-governance again in this country. Biden's cognitive deficits, Kamala's policy deficits, those are not a bug. Those are a feature for the people who actually manage them. That's the sad state of American democracy today, Jesse, and I think the more we see that, the more likely we are to succeed.
Yes, for a very long time, I've not seen Vivek like this. In another interview today he had with CNN, there was a clash. According to this article from Fox News, former presidential candidate Vivek sparred with CNN anchor Kate over Vice President Kamala policy flip-flop after a new poll found some voters perceive Harris to be less radical than her gov opponent, Trump. Biden presented a CNN poll which found close to 50% of likely voters in 6 battleground states said Trump views were so extreme they pose a threat, and about 40% of voters in each of these states said the same about Harris' views. If voters don't agree with the extreme narrative against, do you think Team Trump should be shifting now? She asked. Vivek response to this question was amazing. I've never seen him being like this. It's important. I show you this video.
Why is he struggling to state a clear position on abortion then?
So again, I respectfully disagree with your characterization there about him struggling to state a position. The truth of the matter is Donald Trump has been crystal clear that, first of all, this is an issue for the states.
And that is an issue that he's going to be voting on in the state of Florida, right?
Well, first of all, in his capacity for running for U.S. president, what he's running for Kamala Harris against, he has been clear that he is against a federal ban on abortion. Now, on the Florida bill, which I want to address as well, there is a difference between being opposed to a 6-week ban, which he's been consistent on, both during the campaign when I ran against him, as well as throughout, that he's against a 6-week ban. That is different than what this ballot measure accomplishes. And I know you know that, Kate. This ballot measure, through its vague crafting, would allow abortions far after 6 weeks, arguably under the interpretation of some legal scholars, all the way up to the point of birth. He's against that, and that's been a consistent position as well. So I do think this attempt by Democrats, and it's politics, so you'd expect it, to conflate an opposition to a 6-week ban with somehow being in favor of a ballot measure that actually would allow for far more than that is, I think, sophistry. And the job of voters, I hope they do it, is to see through that, even if it's served up to the media. You can't conflate those two things, and I don't think that's an inconsistency, with all due respect.
Things you also can't conflate is on the issue of, and I've heard this time and again, of accusing, of saying that Democrats, in putting this on Kamala Harris is, saying that they're going to be able to, as you mentioned, up to the point of birth or execute a baby after birth. That you do agree that that is illegal in all states.
Yes, Kamala Harris is being fact-checked on Twitter over and over for these lies. They usually say, oh, Trump wants to ban abortion, he wants to do this. And watching Trump several times, his positions on this is steady. He is not changing his mind. Everything should be allowed to the state to decide. But Democrats pushing a different narrative like they have been spreading with Project 2025. That is what I see. They continue to spread this every single day. Why must you lie during your campaign? Speak the truth, and the people should decide. When I see people, spreading this, especially liberals on Twitter, it is extremely concerning. I'm glad Vivek had to call this out on CNN to a level this lady did not like. At a certain point, I was afraid that they would cut him off. They did not do that.
That
is not an issue.
Is and should be illegal, except for when you look at the vaguely drafted statutes that are now expanding in these ballot measures. And I think that's the debate we ought to be having in this country, is an honest debate at the state level. And where I give Donald Trump a lot of credit, this was my position during the presidential campaign as well, is that this is an issue for the states in a post-Dobbs world. I think Roe was correctly overturned. I think most Republicans agree on that. This is now an issue for the states. And I know the Democrats want to make this a core issue, but the reality is it's not a presidential issue anymore. It belongs to the states. Kamala Harris has wrongly characterized and wrongfully stated, I think in this case I'd call it an outright lie, saying Donald Trump would sign a federal abortion ban when he's been clear that he's against a federal position on this issue. And I think voters deserve that kind of clarity.
That was beautiful, Vivek. That is the truth. Trump has said it over and over, but these people will never take it. Now going into flip-flopping or fracking, Vivek did something amazing on this one.
You brought up some claims about Kamala Harris. I want to finish that discussion. She said she didn't favor a ban on fracking now. The reality is she was one of the strongest proponents of that ban, so much so that when she was in California, she sued the Obama administration over granting fracking permits. She didn't just favor the abolition of private health insurance. She was a co-sponsor of the bill with Bernie Sanders as a U.S. Senator for Medicare for All for Americans. The reality is, when you think about the Green New Deal, she was the chief proponent, not just as a co-sponsor of the legislation, but going further and saying she would end the filibuster in the Senate to ram that through. So the reality is she can say what she wants to say now. Those are actions she has taken.
If you look at the white voters without college degrees, this is a Trump-based constituency, obviously. You see his huge numbers with this group. You see that this is a trouble sign for Harris.
CNN is panicking at this point. Though a lot of people tell me on the comment section they don't believe in polls. When you take a look at their recent polls, they are extremely panicking. They have never seen Trump emerging like this before.
DOD policy, whatever would bring. And I've done a number of these visits to Arlington.
It does not need to be like this. This is silly.
About Barack Obama when it comes to
theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging.
What's your favorite policy of Kamala's?
her being president.
And if the pace plays...
leaving.
A speech from Michelle Obama that I have to say is one of the best
gun-toting...
Abby, we were talking...
Kamala. Trump. Damn Kamala.
Kamala Harris is in office right now and has not tried to do anything about the border, has not tried to not tax people on tips.
For some people, it's already started.
But when you disrespect Kamala Harris,
they say the economy's great. Just look at the jobs numbers. Well, we did, and they disappeared.
The money in politics is so extraordinary, which is something that should have never been allowed to happen.
when Joe stepped down, did you want it to be an open convention?